Hello and welcome to another crafty update. This is a fortnightly video of everything I've been making and a little bit of my life's journey as well. This one is in a slightly different format from previous weeks as I'm ditching the fast forward bit at the end of the video. So we'll just have a chit chat and I'll show you everything that I've been making and doing, and a little bit about where I've been as well. So in a nutshell, I've had a few good days crafting. I don't really feel as if I've made very much, but what I have achieved in the progress of the things that I am making, I'm quite pleased with how far along I've come. So the first big thing that I managed to complete over the last few weeks was my Neurographic art challenge. This, if you haven't seen it yet, I'll put the link in the video description so you can go and take a look. When I was starting this challenge, I was feeling quite stressed and I had a lot of thoughts flying through my head and they were all jumbled about and everything was heightened, and I sat myself down with the pens and the paint, and for at least an hour all of those thoughts that were racing around in my head stopped. So I can highly recommend this as a stress relief exercise, and I definitely will be doing some more of this because it was just so relaxing and freeing, and it was enabling me to be creative in a way that I haven't been creative for a long time. And I don't know if anyone else spotted it, but I seem to have a little pixie on the page. So I'll come back to the other bits of craft that I've been making, but I would like to just use this opportunity to say the reason I was so stressed out and the reason that I tried this neurographic art was because it was my daughter's graduation coming up, and you know, I haven't been well, I'm lacking a lot of energy, and you know, I was feeling quite stressed about getting through the day. So the graduation was in the wonderful, lovely city of Canterbury. And the students of CCCU have the honour of their graduation ceremony being held inside Canterbury Cathedral. Now, Canterbury Cathedral is one of the oldest Christian structures in England. Wikipedia tells me it was destroyed by fire in 1067 and rebuilt in 1070, and I think they've been adding to it along the way, and they're currently undergoing quite a lot of renovation to the stonework, so there was a little bit of scaffolding in place. And there's a lovely gatehouse that you walk through to get into the cathedral grounds. The streets of Canterbury on this day were filled with flowing black gowns and mortarboard caps, along with other academic dresses as well. The students walk from the library after being gowned up through the town to the cathedral. Now, they don't do this in procession, they don't all line up and just walk through the city with applause or anything like that. They make their own way down to the cathedral in their own individual groups, and the guests and the parents go and take their seats within the cathedral, as do the students. So the gowns which the students wear reflect the academic status of their award, and I'm immensely proud that my daughter was this time sporting the academic dress for a master's degree, her MSc. She graduated with her BSc a few years ago, so this was her second graduation within the cathedral, but it was no less special, in fact more so, because she had the master's gown. So prior to the day there were a few stresses, but the day went very well, apart from the drive home. We try not to dwell on that too much. But yeah, why do people not put their lights on in this kind of weather? Anyway, yes, going back to the day. The day was lovely. My daughter was lovely. The cathedral was lovely. The graduates were all in such high spirits. There was a lot of laughter and smiling, and it was generally just a really happy day. We did have a little time to rest in Westgate Gardens, where we sat underneath probably the largest or widest, I think it was a sycamore tree, and rather close to a spectacular yew tree. Now, I love yew trees. I think they are just incredible and a little bit mystical in a way, just the way that they grow. Yeah, and so the park, the gardens, the small park is set on the banks of the Great Stour, and there were punts on the river, and yeah, we had a much needed rest in the gardens. And overall, my energy levels did succeed in getting me through the day, but it took me a few days to fully recover. The days afterwards, the fatigue, the aches, they were worth it just to see my little girl achieve great things. So yeah, the neurographic art, I think it really helped, and give it a go if you haven't, or just for the fun of it, just give it a go for the fun of it and see how you get on with it. It would be interesting to know. So because of the neurographic art, I then spent several days colouring in. So yeah, I picked up my colouring book. I picked this up in the shop about 4 or 5 weeks ago, and I hadn't really done anything with it. But because I'd found the neurographic art so relaxing, I thought I'd try and see if colouring in was going to help relax me and be a good outlet for stress relief. So yeah, I think colouring in stops the more negative thoughts. However, I've yet to try it when I'm feeling quite stressed. And colouring in, I've found, doesn't stop all the thoughts, whereas the neurographic art seemed to stop all the thoughts, because with the neurographic art I was really concentrating on what I was doing, but with the colouring in I'm just scratching in with the felt tip pens in the gaps that have been provided. And I think there's something different about using paint as well. I'm not sure I can really describe what that is. It's just more flowing and freeing and less of the scratchy scratch. But I do think the thoughts that I was having were slower and more random, and it's a really good way of switching off from technology. So in the same way as I found that the journaling exercise that I tried a few weeks ago was helpful, I'm not sure that journaling is for me, and I'm not sure that colouring in is for me, but I'm really happy to pick up a sketchbook next time I go to the art shop and try a little bit more of this neurographic art, because it was very freeing and I did enjoy it. The colouring in was far too repetitive for me. I've seen colouring in books in the shops for years and years and years, but I honestly had no idea that it was such a big thing. I don't think I should be using felt tip pens. I think I should be using specialist colouring in pencils. Who knew? I never knew it was such a big thing. That's, how out of touch I am from the art world, I guess. But maybe I should get some for a future challenge. We shall see. I'll add it to the list and maybe we'll see. So let me show you my little figurine and how she's progressing. I'm really quite happy with her so far. So, with the lines finished, it was all about the costume over the last few weeks, and I tried something new with this one. I made her base bodice using paper and organza ribbon. Which is something that I've never done before. I also used embroidery thread for her little woolen sleeve things. I don't know what they're called. They probably have a name, but they're quite iconic if you watch Outlander. So yeah, so I made these by winding embroidery thread around. And then I found a lovely piece of lace in the charity shop for 50p. So I snipped a bit of that off and I soaked it in textile hardener and I wrapped it around her as a shawl. And then I used for her hair, I used some brown acrylic wool and I just de-stranded it. It was in 3 strands, and attached this to her head. She still needs a little bit of a haircut, but she's getting there. I had to massage the textile hardener into the wool, and I was trying to give her a windswept look, and that was quite hard to do. I don't know whether I need to string up the hair until it's dry. I'll have a play with that in the future at some point. I also fully bound a book. If you saw my mini book challenge a few weeks ago, or months ago probably now, I tried to use the same technique. I did use some real book pages on the inside, but the coffee really darkened them up too much. So I think I'm going to take that page out and see if I can work with what's left, because I might stick some fresh book pages over. I'll have a little play over the next few weeks, so in 2 weeks' time hopefully she will be finished, but we shall see. I managed to also use up some of my spare petals. Now this rose was a bit of a disaster because the red petals were actually cut from card, and I was attaching these petals to a wire stem. There's not much to grab hold of, and I always find with the wire stems that the book pages and thinner paper works best, and card is quite hard to use whatever stem that you use because the paper is so thick and just not pliant enough. So I had a bit of a disaster where all the petals fell off and I had to grab the glue gun to fix it. I realised that I really am going to have to do a paper FAQ, and I'll do this in the next 4 weeks or so. I think it will be helpful to talk about the GSM, and of course, you know, the real reason that these red petals were sat in my spares box was A, because they were too thick to be used, and B, because I'm a bit of a hoarder and I hate to throw away craft supplies, but they were usable, as you can see, and I will continue to use up all my spare petals and leaves. And I will do that paper FAQ because there's quite a few things that, if you are wanting to develop your flower making skills, actually be really useful to know. So I'm going to try and write that all down so that I know what's what, and I'll give you a nice little talk on paper if you're interested. And if you're not, then you don't have to watch it, that's fine. So then I also have started on another tutorial for my nostalgia gift Posy. This will go live in 2 weeks' time, hopefully, if I finish it. We're almost there. I just need to do the second part of the video and that will be all ready for you. And I have also been working on my I Capture the Castle tree. I managed to put the wire branches on, and these are covered in book pages as well. I put the moss on the base, and I cut some leaves. Now this tree still needs quite a few more leaves to bulk it out. It's looking a little bit bare, and I really want this one to be a little bit fuller. So there's a few more weeks' work on this tree as well. But if everything goes to plan, hopefully over the next fortnight, the figurine and the tree will be finished. And the other tutorial I've been working on is for my classic book Bouquet. And that one will be published in 3 weeks' time. This is just all book page roses and all bound into a bouquet. It's suitable for bridesmaids and also very popular for brides. I do have a bigger version of this available, which I will which I will complete in a future tutorial as well, but for now I'm just going to work on the small ones. If you don't want to miss out on those and you're not already subscribed, then do hit subscribe, and it will make it really easy to find them next time you're on YouTube. And thank you to those who have already subscribed. You know, it means the world to me, and you can't always hear it, but I'll give you that little whoop that I spurt out when I get a little increment on my subscriber count. You know, that's great. So aside from a lunch in town with my very clever daughter, did I mention she just received her master's degree? I had a few walks through the woods for my post runs, and I saw my friendly robin again. So that was always really special when I see my little robin. And there was also a butterfly. I think it's a butterfly and not a moth. I'm not very good with my butterflies and moths, I'm afraid. And some mushrooms, toadstools. I don't know what they are as well. I should learn. I should get a book, or I should do some research, and I should learn, so that as autumn comes and all the mushrooms and toadstools crop up in the woods, I can show them to you, and yeah, we could learn together, maybe. I don't know. But that is, yeah, I think that's pretty much all I've been up to. So yeah, the only other thing is a little health update. Yeah, I'm just trying to get on with it. I'm waiting for hospital appointments. I'm trying not to overdo things. I'm enduring the aches and pains. I'm so tired right now, and so stiff and uncomfortable, and it doesn't really come across in my voice. You know, perhaps I'm not sounding as sprightly as perhaps I once did, but you know, oh dear me. Hopefully I'll be able to report some updates in my next vlog, as I do have at least one appointment scheduled soon for my frozen shoulder. I'm not going to dwell on that too much today. Yeah, health-wise, we're still plodding on. That's pretty much it. There's no fast forward this week, because you've already seen the highlights, and I do hope that you will join me again in a couple of weeks' time for my next crafty update. Do give me a thumbs up if you've got this far, and leave me a comment below. Let me know where you're watching from and what you're making, because you know, I always find it interesting. There will be a new tutorial every Sunday, and yeah, and in a couple of weeks there'll be another vlog. So until next time, stay crafty.